Land is a gift of nature which God endowed to mankind as an important non-renewable resource. It is one factor of production which all other three factors of production, which are labor, capital, entrepreneur, majorly depend on for survival. Ogun State is blessed with this resource, which has placed the state in vantage position for various investors, ranging from agricultural, manufacturing, commercial, and built industry. This extensive use of land requires effective administration and management in order to boost the economy of the state. In Ogun State, the Bureau of Land and Survey has the responsibility of managing land matters as well as its allocation and issuance of title documents. To render effective and efficient service delivery, the Bureau of Lands and Survey, under the management of Mr. Aino Salami, the Director General and Special Advisor to the Governor on Land Matters, recently organized a series of stakeholders meetings. Mr. Aino Salami, in one of the meetings with the members of Association of Licensed Telecommunication Operators of Nigeria, Alton, revealed that the Bureau has made tremendous efforts to make the state attain enviable position among its contemporaries in the ease of doing business, among which is the seamless processing of title documents. Hear him speak.
The Bureau of Lands and Survey, under the leadership of His Excellency, has laid tremendous input to ensuring that the God-given land resources of our blessing is well managed, introducing the necessary reforms that are needed to bring the state to an enviable position, the ladder of ranking of states, the use of doing business environment for subnational entities in Nigeria.
Consultant to Ogun State Government Investment Promotion Agency, Mrs. Feintola Odulaja, who chaired the meeting, said the meeting was important to have an impactful revolution in the telecommunication infrastructure, as this would ensure flawless operation by telecom industries in the state.
The meeting is titled Obtain of Licenses on Land for the Erection of Telecommunications Infrastructure in the state. And this, I believe, presents an opportunity to reinforce the role of land and the importance of the siting of communications infrastructure. We all know, and without doubt, that effective planning procedures, access to land, and the associated permits licenses is pivotal to the successful operation and distribution of telecommunications infrastructure, and by extension, the exposure of currently unserved areas and underserved areas in Ogun State to improve telecommunications. It's also important and obviously worth considering, which is why we're here today, the regulatory factors that will accelerate the successful location of telecommunications infrastructure in Ogun State.
The Chairman, House Committee on Lands and Housing, Honorable Damilola Shuneye, asked members of Alton to always take into consideration the health of the people and their safety when siting their masts within the state.
Technology has proved to be a very reliable source of revenue for the government, as people cannot do without communication. This justifies the need for both government and operators in the sector to work unanimously and harmoniously to enhance the achievement of generating income for the operators on one hand, as well as improved revenue for the state. I would like to charge the Bureau of Lands and Survey and the association to look into the aspect of human health in every area of mass erection approvals due to radiation, the environmental protection aspect. As the Chairman House Committee on Lands and Housing in the Ogun State House of Assembly, which is the legislative house, we will do all and ensure all stakeholders speedy passage of resolutions and policies and also laws that will guide and enable effectiveness to the erection of telecommunication infrastructure in our dear state.
The Executive Secretary, Alton, Mr. Gbolahon Awonuga, who spoke on behalf of the team, solicited for a one-stop shop for quick and harmonized processing of their licensed approval, adding that the body would not relent in contributing to the security and economy of the state.
We are responsible corporate citizens, of the state, of the nation, and also natural partners in progress. Wherever we are, we love to blend with the situation and also to contribute our quota, in terms of economic, in terms of security, in terms of CSR, even to the state. We are critical. As you all know, there is no one in this room that doesn't have a phone. And in fact, if you forget your phone at home, it's as if the old day is useless. That is how critical we are. And ours is terrestrial infrastructure. We cannot render service without this terrestrial infrastructure. One-stop shop is an area where we harmonize the processes of permit and approval. We have lands, and without this, we won't be able to deliver to the subscribers, which we are all subscribers as well.
Furthermore, another stakeholders meeting was convened to discuss on how to improve the property registration and the ease of doing business by upgrading the state service systems and services to improve state revenue. The Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kikelo Molunge, spoke on the theme, repositioning the Department of Survey for Sustainable Economic Development in Ogun State. Mrs. Lunge reiterated that the reforms would institutionalize best practices in survey and at the same time generate revenue in a fair and sustainable manner through improvement in land administration and friendly business environment.
This workshop, which is aptly titled Repositioning the Department of Survey for Sustainable Economic Development in Ogun State, presents an opportunity to validate the findings and recommendations from assessments carried out by our consultants who are engaged under the World Bank assisted Ogun State Economic Transformation Project, OGSTEP. Permit me at this stage to give you some background of the OGSTEP survey project for the Bureau of Lands and Survey, which has 4 key deliverables. These deliverables are, number 1, to produce a 5-year maintenance and training plan for the survey department. Number 2, to review the existing action plan for collating survey data from private surveyors across the state. Number 3, to review the survey operations of the State Survey Department. And number 4, to produce a business plan that will improve survey revenue for the Department of Survey in the state.
Mrs. Lunge reiterated that the reforms would institutionalize best practices in survey and at the same time generate revenue in a fair and sustainable manner through improvement in land administration and friendly business environment.
When we talk about revenue generation is the consequence of improved efficiencies. It's a consequence of improved service delivery. It is a consequence of all the steps we're taking to ensure that we give better value to stakeholders like yourself. So please do not look at revenue generation in a one-sided manner. No, it is a consequence of all these steps being taken that will generally enhance value to all stakeholders in the state in a sustainable manner, such that every single stakeholder, like all of us here present, will be willing to part with money that will result in revenue to the state because we can see value for the work being done.
For the Bureau to consolidate its reforms without leaving the public in the dark, it organized another stakeholders meeting with the theme Delivering Services with Timeline in View, Possibilities and Challenges at the Obas Complex, Governor's Office, Okemoson, Abeokuta. The Director General in the Bureau, Mr. Salami, revealed that the state would soon commence mass registration of property title documents to enable owners of dwelling houses and commercial properties register their assets.
Talk about the mass registration of property title in the state, which is recognized and is being pursued by us vigorously, thereby contributing to poverty alleviation policy of His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun MFR. Now, we do know that one of the best ways we can put money into the pocket of people is to actually provide opportunities to register their titles. It enlivens dead assets, and people are able to trade with their assets by using them for collaterals or whatever. So we are very much aware of mass titling and we are pursuing it. Indeed, we are committed to completing the homeowner charter application of those who have paid and met the expected regulatory standards that is required for such a registration. Indeed, since this application started, over 3,000 of such applications have been processed to conclusion. And this is ongoing. Beyond this, the state is also poised to commence soon its property registration program spread across the three senatorial districts of the state. This program will enable owners of dwelling, not only dwelling. In the case of HOC, we have only dwelling, homeowners, only homes. But this one that is coming up, property registration program of His Excellency Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun MFR, it's not only going to concentrate on dwelling houses, it's also going to do registration of commercial properties and obtain necessary, we are required to obtain necessary building permits at affordable rates.
He said that the exercise would focus on an in-depth review of all the activities being rendered to the public and drastically reduce the number of days that transactions are being carried out to the barest minimum.
In Ogun State, it is no more necessary to apply for surrender certificate anymore. Applicant can now directly apply and after paying the due charges, get their certificate of occupancy within 28 days. This number of days is inclusive of the 14 days now allotted by the Bureau for the public advertisement of the applicant's interest in the newspaper. Now, before now, that used to be 30 days that is allocated or allotted to publishing the interest of the private applicant. But in order to meet the demands and the need to be on the cutting edge in terms of processing and deliver titles quickly, we have reduced that to 14 days and added to the 14 days that is needed for other transactions. So within 28 days, applicants for privacy will get their certificate of occupancy in Ogun State.
His counterparts in the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, as well as Industry, Trade and Investment, have these to say.
What is really important is just to solicit the cooperation of all of us who are stakeholders. Yes, all the reforms are being made, but if the stakeholders do not key into it and purpose to make it work, it will not be a futile effort. So we're asking all the stakeholders, the partners, to please join the train of progress of a new dawn in land transaction and management in Ogun State for our state to improve on its ease of doing business, and most importantly, to help in facilitating and spreading prosperity to individuals and corporate bodies alike. On behalf of my own ministry, I want to pledge our continuous support to the efforts of the Bureau of Land and Survey.
In all business endeavors, time is of essence. As people say, time is money. You will therefore agree with me that the thing of the Bureau of Lands and Survey stakeholders meeting today. That is, delivering services with timeline in view, possibilities and challenges, is apt and of interest to businessmen, investors, and all stakeholders that patronize the Bureau. All investors, domestic and foreign, are concerned about timelines for conducting a transaction with the government land agency due to the implications on their financial resources and the various commitments that they need to make. Our Governor, His Excellency Prince Dr. Abiodun Emefiele, is also definitely concerned about speedy conclusion and processing of land title documents in the state. And as clearly stated in the address of Mr. Salami, SA&DG, the Governor directed shortly upon his assumption of office that processing of titles by the Bureau should not exceed 28 days. You will agree with me that our state, Ogun State, is poised to move up the ladder in the subnational ranking in the registering property section of the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
Series of professional presentations were made at the stakeholders meetings to further enlighten the participants on the processes of the reforms. Some of the participants at the meetings highlighted the benefits derivable from attending the meetings and their impact on the built industry.
I'm a town planner, and this is land. And basically, you know that all projects you do will physically be interpreted on the land. But it is essential that the land is well planned. And aside of that, allocation of land or purchase of land or whatever you want to do about land, it is quite expedient of you to do it diligently and the way it should be done. Whether you want to purchase it in terms of having a land CFO, the most important thing is that your documents should be properly done so that you can have right over whatever you want to do. We know the population is dynamic. We are going too fast and the towns are expanding. But there's nothing we can do that we must be at pace with what goes on around us, most essentially those agencies in terms of built environment, and be able to, like we have these stakeholders today, they will be close to the grassroots, close to everybody, so that they will be able to have adequate information of what is expected of them. And with this, I think there will be improvement.
I think engaging the stakeholders like this in this kind of program is trying to sensitize us on what the current administration is doing in each of the ministries. I think it's a good one because each of us representing our own institutions will step down this information, and I think it's a way of keying into the reform that is going on currently in the state. As an estate surveyor and valuer, I'm quite interested in the area of land titling and documentation, the time frame for getting a land title document, especially CFO and others. Based on the presentation so far, we've been told that the bureaucracy involved in getting land titling documentation has been reduced, so from 2 years to 28 days. We really hope that this will come to reality. And also, I'm quite interested in respect to the keen into technology, in respect to engaging people online. I think that it's also a very good one.
We can see that there is this partnership and this stakeholders engagement between the present administration in Ogun State of the Prince Dr. Abiodun administration. And this is not the first time we'll be having the stakeholders meeting, and we are so glad that most of our contributions are put in place. We can definitely see it because we can really say truthfully the administration is a private sector friendly administration. So we believe that after these deliberations, it will be inculcated into the provisions and the policies of the state. So we are of high speed. Land administration in every state is the most important thing. It cuts across every other things we need to do. Talking about you want to set up industry, housing, agric, everything is circled around land. So therefore, the timeline for achieving processing of land documents matters a lot. You can imagine as a developer, we have engagement and we have financial inflows from all over the world. And there's always a timeline for us to deliver a project. So now, project timeline is also attached to the interest rate in banks in terms of loans and stuff. So while you delay the time, it's like you are robbing off the timeline for the delivery of the project, which it comes at a cost to the project manager or project developer. So we believe that what we are discussing today on how there should be a free access based on the timeline, how there should be a very quick concept of land administration vis-a-vis the stakeholder engagement is extremely so important. It's the first thing, and once we get it right, it's a template where other things will be built upon, and that's why we're happy that this is happening today.
These deliberations were indeed worthwhile, as the organizers have ensured that an enabling environment has been established in the land sector of the state to support investors in achieving their business objectives, while deliberately creating economic development centers to boost investments in line with the Governor Dapo Abiodun's vision for the state.